O que acende a sua vontade de começar algo? Tem uma faísca em você que te chama para empreender, investir, dar novos rumos para sua vida. E para todos os seus começos, você pode contar com Santander Select. Um banco mais pessoal, mais próximo, mais humano. Um time de especialistas com olhar atento para cada momento da sua vida. Porque você sabe, só quem já deu muitos passos está pronto para continuar começando. Santander Select. Começa em você, começa agora.
Rated mature audiences only. A viewer discretion is advised.
America is back.
Highest inflation rate in the U.S.
The southern border is collapsing. A climb of COVID infections.
We amplify our power. We summon the new strength.
This is a recruitment ad.
Should we be embarrassed?
Diplomacy is back.
Now the Taliban are back. Kabul is not in an imminent threat environment.
The likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely.
They own the whole country now, the Taliban. The Taliban are now in complete control of Afghanistan.
Complete chaos.
How did President Biden get this so wrong?
Well, first of all, the mission hasn't failed yet.
If this isn't failure, what does failure look like exactly?
Biden, you destroyed not Afghanistan, but the world!
I don't care if you think I'm Satan reincarnated.
Do I bear responsibility? Zero responsibility.
China is ready for friendly relations with the Taliban.
You're like this open the door right there, and the Taliban, and they're gonna come in and kill us.
Hold on, everybody.
We have to ask the Taliban for permission for American citizens to leave. True or not true? They are in control.
I can't think of anyone better to lead this operation than
Just chanting death to America?
Call yourself the president!
Wake up, America. Broadcasting from the Big Peach of Atlanta, Georgia. A show unfiltered, unscripted, raw. The Patriot Angle Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to Tuesday's show, guys. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start. It seems like it's not getting better. It seems like it's getting worse. Literally day by day, guys. I don't know what else to say. I don't know how to say it. I can't promise that our country is going to recover from this because we're at a point right now in our country where it's literally survival time from this president. This president, folks, is putting, and I think it's easily said to say it now, every American at risk. Not only with the border crisis, the ongoing border crisis, the flow of sick, diseased immigrants, illegal immigrants into this country. We're seeing now a new crisis on hand from Afghanistan. The Taliban, folks, is literally in control, and this president just doesn't seem to have a plan on it. Every time he's questioned from reporters, he seems to just like, he can't give a complete answer. Excuse me. I want to start out by saying that, we heard Biden saying that he was committed to having all the troops out of Afghanistan by August 31st. That was the deadline. That was the deadline he gave. He said that to the Associated Press, and he said it to the rest of the country here. that he was committed by having all the troops out of Afghanistan by August 31st. Folks, today is August 24th. That deadline is approaching in the next 6-7 days from now. And that was after the Taliban would not agree to extend the date any further. Speaking to reporters on Capitol Hill following a classified intel briefing on Monday, the House Intelligence Committee Chair, Representative Adam Schiff, said that it's very unlikely evacuations in Afghanistan will be over by August 31st due to the overwhelming number of Americans, Afghan allies, and potential refugees currently stranded in the region amid increasingly hostile security threat. It's very unlikely. Folks, this administration still has not given us an estimate of just how many people are stranded in Afghanistan. How many people, sadly, will most likely die or be killed from this group. Folks, this president has completely abandoned his people. Completely abandoned his people. But then it goes to say that I think it's possible, but I think it's very unlikely, given the number of Americans who still need to be evacuated, the number of SIVs, the number of others who are members of the Afghan press, civil society leaders, women leaders. It's hard for me to imagine all of that can be accomplished between now and the end of the month. It's very hard for you to understand and imagine that it can be accomplished. Are we not supposed to have the greatest military force in the entire world? But the defense officials confirmed on Tuesday that the withdrawal of the U.S. troops have already begun in Afghanistan and will be completed by August 31st. I'd like to see that. Because we're not seeing jack shit from this president. He is not reporting on anything. He is not giving the American people the confidence that we will get our people and our allies out the hell of Afghanistan. He keeps on tippy-toeing. Utter disgustness from this president. Joe Biden, again, just earlier today, was questioned by more reporters about the ongoing situation in Afghanistan. Walks away from questions about thousands of Americans that are still stranded in Afghanistan. Before Biden gave his statement on Afghanistan and the American efforts to evacuate the Americans, the president first spoke about his Build Back Better bullshit. Biden eventually gave a statement on the Americans stranded in Kabul. Still, many of them are not able to reach the airport or even get inside the airport. The president, along with the rest of his administration, was unable to identify how many of those evacuated are Americans versus Afghan allies. Nor did he give specifics of the deadline being imposed by the Taliban. And then I'm going to go into this statement here saying that before ending his statement, he said, I've asked Secretary Blinken to give you an update and a detailed report on exactly how many Americans are still in Afghanistan and how many we've gotten out and what our projections is. He adds, "Thank you again. May God bless you, and may God bless and protect our diplomats and all those in harm's way. Thank you." That was his closing, folks. Yeah. And by the way, we have that a little bit of that sound clip here. Sound clip number 5.
I've asked Secretary Blinken to give you an update and a detailed report on exactly how many Americans are still in Afghanistan, how many have got out, and what our projection is. So thank you again, and God bless you, and may God protect our diplomats and all those in harm's way. Thank you.
Mr. President, can you guarantee every American will be out before the troops leave?
Sanctions,
Can you guarantee?
Did sanctions come up at all?
Yeah. See how quickly he was to avoid the questions? When the reporters at the end of that sound clip, okay, that I just plugged into the podcast, was asking the president, how many Americans? What is your plans, Mr. President? Questions to the president. Quickly avoiding. I didn't know Joe can move that fast. Quickly exiting the door. Avoiding questions. This is our president of the United States, folks. This is our commander-in-chief of the greatest military on the face of the earth. I mean, what? I don't know. In other news, like I said, folks, before I go into this next topic, can America survive after Biden? Can we truly survive after this crazy old bag of a president? Can we survive after this crap? God, I hope so. I hope we still have a country in the next 4 years. I really do, folks, because this president is setting us up for failure. We are basically we're turning into a melting pot. This is the greatest country on the face of the earth, looking on the world stage as a national embarrassment. This is terrible. This is disgusting. It's outrageous. It shouldn't be called for. President Biden should consider either resigning from office of the President of the United States or should be immediately impeached. Hey guys, this episode today is brought to you by our good friends at Harry's.com. What is Harry's.com? It is a awesome, affordable set of razors and other products as well too. Harry's has been around since 2013. Back in 2013, the makers of Harry's, which is a German company, realized that shaving could be easier, more affordable, and as well more enjoyable, right? So they decided to come up with a concept to create super quality razors for the everyday Joe. These razors are super affordable, they're super convenient, and they're easy on the wallet, guys. These are quality blades that are designed in a factory in the country of Germany. Where can you pick up these razors? Just about everywhere, guys. Walmart, Target, Walgreens. I've seen them at CVS. They're just about everywhere where you can buy razors at. If you can't go into a store or you'd like to shop on their website, they do have a website, guys. Harrys.com. Visit them at Harrys.com, and you can also explore their full range of products, including body wash, bar of soap, face wash, shaving cream, shaving gel, post-shave mist, face lotion, just to name a few. They even have anti-dandruff shampoo and conditioner, guys. Constantly coming out with new products, new set of brands to their brand. So visit Harrys.com and mention that you heard it on the Patriot Angle podcast. But folks, Biden won't be impeached, and he won't resign. Folks, as much as we would like to see it happen, I don't think it's gonna happen. The man should have been impeached the day he took office. This is the greatest nightmare that ever faced our nation. I mean, this president, I've said it time after time. It seems like we're in a time warp, like in a Twilight Zone. It seems like, things should be getting better. It should, right? Things, we would like for them to get better. It should. Things usually get better after going through worse conditions. But it gets worse and worse, folks. Every single day of this administration is getting worse and worse. A new report coming out. Oh, God. Boy. Guys, it's the humiliation is unreal. A new report, guys, coming out. Now Biden is now planning to bring 50,000 Afghans to the U.S. without visas. Oh, boy. Like we don't have enough problems in the country as it is. He's now planning to bring, like I said, 50,000 Afghanistan's people there to our country without visas. Let me stop right there for a minute. How do you go from one situation to the next? You think the president would morally focus on getting our people the hell out of a hellhole that's going on in Afghanistan, worry about American lives so we don't have casualties in that country with our own people, than worrying about another form of people. I get that the American way is to be open to other cultures. We're a friendly nation. I get that. I'm all for that. But we should be worrying about our people first. They come first. According to this president, the America First agenda just doesn't apply to President Joe Biden. Apparently, right? Apparently. But he's planning on bringing over 50,000 Afghans to the U.S. without visas. Not even worrying about it. You can come to our country. Don't worry about your visa. Don't worry about it. We're going to suspend that for now. I'm telling you, folks. I'm telling you. And some of these Afghans, listen, I don't have anything against Afghans or the people there. I don't have anything against it. But his projection, his scenario, his plan is way, way off course. I mean, he's going to another level with this. Some of these people don't have visas. Some of these people haven't completed their immigration processing. But it looks like he's going to suspend all that. Biden will use the little-known humanitarian parole tool to bring roughly 50,000 Afghans to the U.S. The plan is at least minute effort to bring as many Afghans to the U.S. as possible, as this group does not have special immigrant visas, also known as SIVs. I touched that earlier in today's podcast. P2 visas or refugee status. Folks, some of them are good, some of them are bad. Oh boy, I can't even imagine if he does go to that level. What not only what it's going to do to this country, but what it's going to do to our economy, of which is slowly recovering. Instead, folks, Afghans on the humanitarian parole system, this tool that he's going to be using, will arrive in the U.S. without having first secured visas and completing their immigration processing. After having humanitarian parole for a year or so, the thousands of Afghans would be able to adjust their visas and their statuses. Many are likely to take advantage of the temporary protected status, also known as TPS, to remain in the U.S. It is unclear, folks, how many Afghans the Biden administration has already paroled into the U.S. This massive expansion of his administration's operation into the U.S. comes after a group of Senate Democrats, as well as Senator Bill Cassidy and Lisa Murkowski, begged Biden to resettle more Afghans. And I'm quoting this here, folks. We strongly urge you to create a humanitarian parole category specifically for women leaders, activists, human rights defenders, judges, journalists, and members of the female tactical platoon of the Afghan Special Security Forces, the senators wrote. What? Oh boy. Oh boy, I tell you. Before evacuating all American citizens for Afghanistan, the Biden administration is now focusing on increasing the inflow of Afghans to the U.S. for permanent resettlement. Yeah. What he's supposed to be doing, folks? He's skipping over the steps here. Okay? So, common sense would tell you, let's get our people out first before we worry about the Afghan people. Respectfully. Right? Let's get our American people out first. Then we'll worry about trying to help the Afghan people. Okay? That's what you would do. I think that's what any common sense an American leader would do. Right? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. But according to Joe, that's the right thing to do. Let's get the Afghans out first, and then we'll come back for the American people. Folks, this is this president really trying to put us last? I don't think he's trying. I think he's doing it on purpose. But according to a poll that came out last September, this is the most popular president, not only in modern day, but political history. Yeah, he's real popular, right? He's real popular. We're seeing voters that even voted for this clown saying that they're reconsidering their choice last November. Yeah. Folks, I give you a little history on this statement here. Over the last 20 years, folks, nearly 1 million refugees have been resettled in our nation. More than double of that of residents living in Miami, Florida, and it would be equivalent to annually adding the population. Now, this is the population, folks. It would be equivalent of annually, meaning yearly, adding the population of the entire city of Pensacola, Florida, in the last 20 years. Nearly 1 million refugees have been resettled in our country. Refugee resettlement, folks, costs American taxpayers nearly $9 billion every 5 years. $9 billion. And each refugee costs taxpayers about $133,000 over the course of their lifetime. Within 5 years now, an estimate of 16% of all refugees admitted will need housing assistance paid for by American taxpayers. Can you understand that crap? Now everybody's wondering why our national debt is so freaking high. I'm telling you.
Google Fi, a phone plan by Google. With our privacy and security features, a built-in VPN protects you from hackers by keeping your connection encrypted and private. Features are easy to use and included with all 5 phone plans. Learn more today.
Hey folks, this episode is brought to you by our good friends at Teespring. Head over to teespring.com, guys. They have like thousands of different online storefronts from different types of merchants selling all types of merchandise, whether it's political, science, comedy, just about anything that you can think of is on Teespring. Head over to Teespring. Don't forget that you heard it on the Patriot Angle podcast, guys, and you're going to love some of that stuff. I found some really cool stuff on Teespring. Funny comedy memes of t-shirts. I mean, you got to check it out, guys. Teespring.com. Like I said, don't forget you heard it on the Patriot Angle podcast, guys.
And hours matter here. When we talk about August 1st, is the understanding between the U.S. and the Taliban that ends at midnight at the end of August 31st, Afghan time, American time? Is it the end of the 30th, at the end of the 31st? When exactly is the deadline as it currently exists?
It's really a great question, and I want to give you a very clear and articulate answer from the team on the ground, so I'll just have to get back to you on that to make sure we give you the accurate information.
They'll have to get back to you on that. Yeah, Jen Psaki said her administration's going to circle back. They're going to circle back on the timeline. Really good question. Really good question. We want to give you a clear answer. But I'm going to have to get back to you on that. Folks, this is, I don't know how to answer this because it's frustrating. We have incompetent leaders in the White House that have no idea what the hell they're freaking doing. With more of that, I want to plug in something else here on the show. General that's overseeing the Afghanistan evacuation now saying we'll get as many people out with the time we have. Won't speculate on leaving some behind. They won't speculate on it. With the time that they have. This, what the
In here with ABC senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell, leading us to Kabul airport.
With thousands of desperate Afghans trapped in Kabul outside the airport, President Biden so far refusing to extend the August 31st deadline for U.S. forces to leave Afghanistan.
We are currently on a pace to finish by August the 31st. The sooner we can finish, the better. Each day of operations brings added risk to our troops.
The president making the decision today to ensure the U.S. military could complete the drawdown safely with just 1 week to go before the deadline, citing a, quote, very high risk of an attack.
The longer we stay, starting with the acute and growing risk of an attack by a terrorist group known as ISIS-K, an ISIS affiliate in Afghanistan.
Biden telling the American people meeting the deadline depends on continued Taliban cooperation.
It's a tenuous situation. We've already had some gunfighting break out. We run a serious risk of it breaking down as time goes on.
Biden speaking to G7 leaders today who urged the president to extend the deadline. And tonight we're learning about an extraordinary secret meeting between CIA Director William Burns and de facto Taliban leader Mullah Barada in Kabul on Monday. It's the highest level face-to-face talks between the administration and the Taliban since the militants seized control, but it's unclear how productive the talks were. At a press conference today, the Taliban announcing it's now blocking Afghans trying to leave the country from the airport, telling them to go home, and claiming they want to protect people from terrorist threats at the airfield. The Taliban also rejecting any plans to extend the US troop withdrawal. The announcement making the race to evacuate Americans and Afghan allies all the more urgent. More than 75,000 people evacuated from the country in the past 10 days, including more than 5,100 Americans. On average, one flight is leaving every 45 minutes. US military helicopters conducting a second mission outside the airport, reportedly rescuing 16 Americans Monday, just days after crews airlifted 169 Americans from a hotel outside the airfield last week. The escape from Kabul is perilous. Threats lie around each corner.
Folks, you heard it. You heard it here on the Patriot Angle podcast. Folks, this is some crazy stuff. Okay? But according to Biden, he's depending on the Taliban cooperating with their demands. Yeah, he's depending on it. This is a president that's putting the trust and cooperation of the Taliban. Oh boy, guys. Oh boy. Like I said, we've seen President Trump give his analysis on when he was dealing with the Taliban. He took the caliphate out in Syria with ISIS. I strongly agree, guys. Strongly agree. And I could say this right now on the podcast. If there was a election today between Biden and Trump, Trump would win in a freaking landslide. And it doesn't matter if they corrupted and manipulated the voting machines. Trump would win. I think even the Biden voters and supporters are starting to see that they don't have any faith or fate in this president. We're clearly seeing it, folks. We're clearly seeing the Biden administration fold under pressure. Literally. This, the words are just, like I said, folks, he needs to be impeached or he needs to resign. But we will not see that out of Nancy Pelosi. She will not impeach this president or invoke anything. The 25th Amendment won't come into place. Nothing, folks. We're stuck for the next 3 years under this president. Like I said, God willing, and God bless the United States of America. I pray for this nation for the next 3 years. I hope that times get better. I hope that our military is still as strong as it once was under President Trump, because this president is setting us up for failure. Folks, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. A lot of Americans, they don't know. They're scratching their heads. They're wondering what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month, because every month seems to get worse and worse and worse. COVID, the border crisis, the Afghanistan crisis, the economy. Folks, this country is melting the fuck down. It's getting bad. We are not living under the Make America Great movements. We are living under the Make America Last under this administration. Texas Republican now saying that Biden needs to send troops door to door to get Americans out of Afghanistan. Republican Randy Weber of Texas said earlier today during a press conference hosted by the Republican Kat Cammack of Florida in front of the U.S. Capitol that he would like to see the Biden administration get more stronger and send American troops to evacuate Americans. Check this out, guys.
And I will tell you that the only thing I want to hear from this administration is that they empower our great military over in Afghanistan to go city, town, every single door to door and get our Americans out. What are they thinking? Why don't they go there and do the right thing? Unleash our fighting men and women. Tell the Taliban that you don't get to set deadlines for us. We'll leave when we're ready to leave and not a day sooner. And oh, by the way, you harm one single hair on one single head of one of our soldiers or our friends, and you want us to talk about shock and awe, you'll be sorry you existed. That's what the Taliban...
Yeah. Since when, as a country, are we now negotiating with terrorist groups and terrorist forces? Since when, as a country, do we let them dictate their demands to us? You know, I want to quote something from former President Ronald Reagan. And he had said this in the 80s. We as a nation will never, under any circumstances, negotiate what terrorist demands. We as a country set the demands. We are the United States of America. We are the strongest force on the face of this world. Biden, folks, is literally surrendering to the Taliban. We're seeing it. Even former President Barack Obama could tackle the Middle East stronger than this president. And that's a fact. I wasn't in high favor of Obama, but he could tackle issues a lot clearer and accurately than Biden have ever imagined. Biden needs to get his ass up and get to work. Literally, folks. That's what needs to happen. Needs to happen like yesterday. This is terrible. Terrible stuff. That's my closing. Hope everybody enjoyed this podcast today. I hope you learned something. We'll see you tomorrow night, guys. You just heard an episode of the Patriot Angle Podcast, an Anchor platform.